Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all praises, honor, and the glory shall go to Yahweh, Ba'ashab Yahushai, Ba'ashab Makakodash Brakatham. Double honor shall go to apostles, elders, and bishops, a great millstone who continue to teach and to rule well. Shalom to the Akims, a great millstone of like-minded camps and individuals who continue to teach as one body, who continue to be out on the highways and byways, risking their lives for the greater good. Shalom to the sincere Aquads who will continuously learning in silence, as the Holy Scriptures have commanded for you to do so. And also shalom to the true believers and subscribers of this true gospel, for this should be considered a true blessing from the higher power. This is Azariah Gabar, representing the King is Coming channel, back at it with another lesson for edification purposes. All right. So, pretty much the whole wide world just Slakia, getting a hangover from Valentine's Day. All right. And I know a lot of you Jakes out there, a lot of you guys are still hell bent on observing this wicked and pagan holiday that was never sanctioned by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'asham Makakodash. This holiday was never ever sanctioned one iota. But yet, because you're into that hedonistic spirit, you're still hell-bent on observing this holiday. And you got the men breaking their necks to spend money that they really don't have in order to appease that woman. All right? Giving their strength to the woman, in which the book of Proverbs 31:1 says not for you guys to do. Give not thy strength unto woman. It's not going to benefit you guys. And because of this holiday, a lot of separations and even divorces happen because a man couldn't or wouldn't buy that special Valentine's Day gift or take that love cruise, things of the sort. All right? So what you see here is a very familiar face by now. The guy from the Snyder Reports. So today's lesson will be love don't live here anymore. You know, like that old school joint, I believe it's from Rolls Royce. Love don't live here anymore. Okay? And the Lord is shutting this down. Point blank. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is shutting this nonsense down. Okay? Which is a good thing, as far as I'm concerned. So the title for this dude's video is Valentine's Day is changing, and most Americans don't realize it. All right, so I'd like to squeeze in another video after this as well to further support what I'm saying. And then, of course, Abaratazah, Lord willing, doing a few precepts to even further bolster and cement where I'm coming from. You heard? So before I play these videos, fair use of the 1976 Copyright Act. For these videos are strictly for education and edification purposes only. I'm not making a dime of any of these videos. You heard? So without further ado, let's go.
Valentine's Day is the most emotional spending event in the entire United States. People cannot afford some of the things that they do. However, they continue to buy overpriced flowers, overpriced chocolates, go to an overpriced restaurant, and even stay at overpriced hotels just on one day to show their loved one that they care. But 2026 will be different.
I just said that. Okay? And he's echoing my same sentiment. And these be the same people that'll get on social media or even, mainstream media whining and bitching about how inflation is too high, cost of living is too high, rent is still too damn high. I can't pay my car insurance. I can't buy food for me and my family. Okay? I can't even find good clothes. I can't buy quality clothes. All right? But this is just to tell you how ass backwards a lot of these people are out there. And unfortunately, a lot of you 2/3 Jakes are included in this equation. Your priorities are not right. They jacked up. Let's continue.
According to the National Retail Foundation, okay, I want to show you this. It says how much money is spent on Valentine's Day. It says right here, the average consumer is expected to spend roughly $200, an all-time high and up from $188.81 last year. This is the annual day of romance. Now, what's interesting about this is that the National Retail Federation is saying that we are going to spend on average about $200. Okay, here's what's interesting. That's if we pay for a nice dinner, we buy flowers, we buy candy, maybe a little gift, right? Just things like that. We're going to spend about $200. But this is where things get interesting. The American people say, no, we're not going to spend that much money. Look at this. Prices are insane this Valentine's Day. I'm shooting this on February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, and people are already spending so much money. But look at this right here.
This is the most anticipated smart security camera of the year.
I don't care.
No internet connection needed.
Shut up.
No wiring or complicated.
$250 for a bouquet of roses. Or if you want to get 2 bouquets, it's $300. Is my math not adding up here? Right? Is something wrong? You get 1 bouquet for $250 or you get 2 for $300.
The math is not mathing. Okay? That's a new slang that's going around that I've been hearing. The math ain't mathing. Okay? And again, a lot of you 2/3 Jakes don't want to see it that way until when your asses receive eviction notices or your car gets repoed one morning when you step out the house. Okay? Let's continue.
Yeah, so either way, if you want to, you're spending $150 for a bouquet of roses, which you could probably make yourself for much less. Yes, it is ridiculously expensive right now. I want to show you something though. Look at this right here. It says Valentine's Day budgets hit by rising tariffs. What we are hearing is that we are going to spend about additional $20 this year compared to last year. And it is going to be difficult to have the same experience that we did last year as we are hoping to get this year. I want to show you something. Look at this right here. It says, Americans plan to spend $87 on Valentine's Day. This is down 44% from last year. What their ideal gift looks like. Why am I showing you this? I just told you that people plan to spend $200 on Valentine's Day. No. According to the National Retail Federation, if we do exactly what we did in 2025, it's going to cost us about $200 in 2026. Well, the American people say, nope, I'm not doing it. Look at this. It says Americans are going old school for Valentine's Day. This year, 61% say a romantic dinner is their ideal gift. That's it. No jewelry, no flowers, no candy. Just a romantic dinner, and that is it. 61% say that's all we're spending. You know what's interesting though? Okay, and I want to show you why this is such a big deal. What we are hearing is that the American people are going to spend about $7 billion on jewelry alone, $29.1 billion on Valentine's Day in total. Yeah, the biggest categories are restaurants and evenings out, like dining, but also hotels. Then we got flowers are the next one. Jewelry is on there, and then obviously candy and gifts. Okay, those are the biggest spending categories. I want to show you this though. Look at this right here. It says that's according to a recent Coupon Follow survey of 1,005 Americans in relationships. Says another 57% say their ideal gift is an experience like a trip or a concert, and 46% say they'd like a handwritten card or letter. It says whatever direction they end up going in, couples have set a very specific Valentine's Day budget. On average, Americans plan to spend $87 on their partner. Okay. That's interesting, $87. That means if you go and get a meal, that's all you're doing. If you skip the meal, you can probably afford maybe flowers and maybe some candy, or you can probably get a couple gifts for $87. Again, but what do you decide to do? This is where people are changing their spending habits. And I said this before, that it was going to come, and it's happening right now. I want to play something else for you though. Look at this.
The pressure's on to find the perfect gift for your gal, pal, or sweetheart. Love may be priceless, but this year, treating your Valentine is far from it. Over the past 5 years, prices for Valentine's classics have jumped more than 20%, including jewelry, dining out, cards, gift wrapping, and flowers. Chocolate prices have spiked more than 70%.
We don't dilute our product. We've had the same recipe for 103 years.
Christopher Taylor runs Lilac Chocolates in New York City. He says despite record high cocoa prices, he will not be passing on costs to his consumers yet.
Last year was brutal, right? We barely broke even, but it looks like the gamble has paid off. I just did that to check the customer appetite for higher prices. We spent more.
What's interesting about what many of these companies did last year is they didn't adopt the higher prices. And I talked about this last year as well, is that the beginning of 2025, it was different. It was difficult because, again, the Trump administration was just coming in. They were just in there for a few weeks. So there wasn't any changes there. The tariffs didn't go into effect. But again, people did see that we should be charging more for whatever product, good, or service. Well, this year it's different where prices have gone up a little bit. But the profit margins for companies is being pretty much squeezed to almost nothing. That's where some people are saying that these businesses have to make money this Valentine's Day or else they will go out of business. They will no longer be operational. Now, I want to leave you with something.
Yippee-ki-yay. That's all I got to say. All right? Because like I said, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Bashar Makakodash is shutting all this nonsense down. Okay? It was never a commandment whatsoever that the man is supposed to go and buy flowers and candy and this and that, and jewelry and this and that. That was never a holy commandment. Period. This is nothing more than Esau Edom's dumbass shenanigans. All right? And listen, I'll be real. Years and years ago, obviously when I was not into this spirit that I'm in now, I participated in this nonsense of Valentine's Day. All right? Especially, when I was still a youngster going to school, and in the class, teacher would have us cut out damn hearts, and write whatever and give it to your mama, Just ridiculous, okay? It's not a commandment to do. And on top of that, Valentine's Day has wicked origins, okay? There's wickedness that's involved in Valentine's Day and its inception, okay? So, which will lead me to this next video. Abaratazah. Let me look for it. Here we go. The dark origin and history of Saint Valentine's Day. Okay? So let's check out this video for more edification.
Want to invest at the front lines of digital market innovation? Aloha Ventures gives you access to early stage companies.
Valentine's Day. We all know it as a time to celebrate romance and love. But the origins of this festival of roses, chocolate, and Cupid are actually quite dark. In fact, bloody. So what exactly is the story behind this lovey-dovey holiday? We'll have to take a trip to ancient Rome. But before we get going, please like and subscribe. Ancient Rome, a place of diverse, rich culture and history, inspired by the many gods, Jupiter, Neptune, Mars, Venus, and more. There were so many festivals in ancient Rome. But today, we'll be taking a look at the festival of Lupercalia, celebrated from February 13 to February 15. Lupercalia was Proto-Valentine's Day. But it definitely wasn't celebrated the way it is today. Lupercalia was a fertility festival dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture, as well as to the Roman founders Romulus and Remus. To begin the festival, members of the Luperci.
Let's stop right here. So as you can see, these people are Edomites, all right? These false pagan gods. These are not Israelites. You heard? Let's continue.
An order of Roman priests would gather at a sacred cave where the infants, Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, were believed to have been cared for by a she-wolf.
Cave. Does that sound familiar to you Jakes that are in the know? Cave. And where did these Edomites originated from? The caves. Up in Mount Seir. Like the Bible says. You heard? Let's continue.
Or Lupa. The priests would sacrifice a goat for fertility and a dog for purification. They would then strip the goat's hide into strips, dip them into the sacrificial blood, and take it out to the streets. Men sacrificing goats and dogs. Creepy, but okay, I get it. It was old times. But no, it doesn't end there.
Now, why would she say, oh, it's okay? Why? Because in all likelihood, she's an Edomite, and that's what they do. She never debunked this whole thing. You heard?
For the sacrifice of the goat and dog, men would whip women with the bloody hides of the animals they had just slain. And to put this more into the real atmosphere and picture, the Romans would be intoxicated and without clothes. And far from being fearful, Roman women would line up for the men and welcome the touches of the hides, because it was believed to make them more fertile in the coming year. And this spine-chilling festival actually included a matchmaking lottery, in which all the young women in the city would place their names in a big urn. The city's bachelors would each choose a name and become paired for the year with this chosen woman. These matches often ended in marriage. The ancient Romans may also be responsible for the name of our modern-day love. Emperor Claudius II executed 2 men, both named Valentine on February 14th of different years in the 3rd century. Their martyrdom was honored by the Catholic Church with the celebration of St. Valentine's Day. Hold on. What? How did we just go from pagan Rome to Christianity? Well, after Christianity spread to Rome and other lands, and Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity, he and the Church adopted existing pagan rituals and customs into Christianity in order to convert more pagans. For example, Christmas was originally a celebration known as Saturnalia.
So you heard those words? Pagan, rituals, Christianity. All right? So you Jake Christians out there, listen up. This is who you are serving. And there's a deep penalty and ramification because of this. You heard?
But Valentine's Day wasn't something that was galvanized into Christianity during the time of Constantine. It all happened in the 5th century. So let's fast forward to where it all started. The execution. The Catholic Church recognizes at least 3 different saints named Valentine, all of whom were martyred. One legend contends that Valentine was a priest who served during the 3rd century in Rome. When Emperor Claudius II decided that single men made better soldiers than those with wives and families, he outlawed marriage for young men. Valentine realized the injustice of the decree, defied Claudius, and continued to perform marriages for young lovers in secret. When Valentine's actions were discovered, Claudius ordered that he be put to death. Still, others insist that it was Saint Valentine of Terni, a bishop, who was the true namesake of the holiday. He too was beheaded by Claudius II outside of Rome. Other stories suggest that Claudius may have been killed for attempting to help Christians escape harsh Roman prisons, where they were often persecuted. According to one legend, the imprisoned Valentine actually sent the first Valentine greeting himself after he fell in love with a young girl, possibly his jailer's daughter. Before his death, it is alleged that he wrote her a letter signed "From Your Valentine," an expression that is still used today. Now coming to the time of Pope Gelasius I, he muddled things in the 5th century by combining St. Valentine's Day with Lupercalia to Christianize the pagan holiday and bring in more converts. But the festival now was more of a...
That's the sound of an American oil company hard at work.
So,
Want to be a part of it? Listen up.
no.
Hello, my name is...
theatrical interpretation of what it once had been. But at least they put their clothes back on. Around the same time, the Normans celebrated Gallatin's Day. Gallatin meant lover of women. That was likely confused with St. Valentine's Day at some point, in part because they sound alike. As the years went on, the holiday grew sweeter. Chaucer and Shakespeare romanticized it in their work, and it gained popularity throughout Britain and the rest of Europe. During the Middle Ages, it was commonly believed in France and England that February the 14th was the beginning of birds' mating season, which added to the idea that the middle of Valentine's Day should be a day for romance. The English poet Geoffrey Chaucer was the first to record St. Valentine's Day as a day of romantic celebration in his 1375 poem, Parliament of Fool, writing, "For this was on St. Valentine's Day, when every fool cometh there to choose his mate." Valentine's greetings were popular as far back as the Middle Ages, though written valentines didn't begin to appear until after 1400. The oldest known valentines still in existence today was a poem written in 1445 and 1415 by Charles, Duke of Orleans, to his wife while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London following his capture at the Battle of Agincourt. The greeting is now part of the manuscript collection of the British Library in London, England. Several years later, it was believed that King Henry V hired a writer named John Lydgate to compose a Valentine note to Catherine of Valois. Now, some of you might be thinking, so what about Cupid? I thought if anything, Valentine's might have originated from him.
Yes, but actually no. In fact,
Cupid is often portrayed on Valentine's Day cards as a cherub, launching arrows of love at unsuspecting lovers. But the Roman god Cupid has its roots in Greek mythology as the Greek god of love, Eros. Accounts of his birth vary. Some say he is the son of Nyx and Erebus, others of Aphrodite and Ares. Still others suggest he is the son of Iris and Zephyrus, or even Aphrodite and Zeus, who would have been both his father and grandfather. According to the Greek archaic poets, Eros was a handsome immortal, played with the emotions of gods and men, using golden arrows to incite love and lead him once to sow aversion. It wasn't until the Hellenistic period that he began to be portrayed as the mischievous chubby child he'd become on Valentine's Day cards. Eventually, the tradition made its way to the New World. The Industrial Revolution ushered in factory-made cards in the 19th century, and in 1919, Hallmark Cards of Kansas City began mass-producing Valentines, and February has not been the same since. And now, St. Valentine's Day is more or less a holiday of big business.
If you need full
Big business. Okay? So, then she forgot to mention that a lot of homosexuality took place back then and still does to this very day. All right? So, all in all, you Jakes, stop with the BS with this damn Valentine's Day nonsense. It's not going to behoove you to continue to observe this wicked ass holiday amongst all the other rest of these wicked ass pagan holidays, courtesy of Esau Edom. You heard? So let's go to some scriptures to back up what I'm saying. So here we got Jeremiah 10:1. And it reads, Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Yasharallah. Verse 2. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the ways of the heathen. Isn't this what I'm saying? And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. So this precept is talking about future events that's going to come very, very soon. As far as these so-called UFOs, these chariots, all right, in these end times. But us, 1/3 of Yasharallah, we're not going to be dismayed because we know what's what. And we welcome that. You heard? In verse 3, for the customs of the people are vain, for nothing. All this is for nothing. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. Verse 4, they deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. Okay? So, obviously, this is talking about Christmas holiday. Okay? So, again, learn not the ways of the heathens. Stop doing these things, you jakes. Okay? Capiche? So, I did an AI search about Valentine's Day, and this is the result. Valentine's Day is widely believed to have roots in the ancient Roman pagan festival of Lupercalia, a mid-February fertility celebration. That's what that video was saying too. In the 5th century, Pope Gelasius reportedly replaced this festival with St. Valentine's Day, shifting the focus from pagan rituals to a Christian commemoration of martyrs. This is a Christian, Roman, pagan deity. Period. And you Jakes, I'm going to say it again. You 2/3 Jakes, stop the nonsense. You are not to celebrate these holidays. You're not to observe these holidays. The Lord said so. And I will get to that in a minute. All right? And also, you had another event, a bloody event that took place on St. Valentine's Day. So I did a research on that, and it says, yes, the event commonly referred to as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre occurred on February 14th, 1929. The massacre took place at approximately 10:30 a.m. in a garage located at 2122 North Clark Street in the Lincoln Park neighborhood of Chicago. During the incident, 7 members and associates of George Bugs Moran's Northside Gang were lined up against a wall and executed by 4 to 6 assailants. Some of them were dressed in police uniforms. All right? So once again, nothing but bloodshed, homosexuality, and just all outright wickedness. You Jakes better learn and understand this. You 2/3 in particular. All right? Getting back to the precepts. Exodus 20:3, and it reads, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Verse 4, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." Woo! In verse 5, and here's the point. "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy Yahweh, am a jealous Yahweh, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me." Woo! Okay? If this doesn't get to you 2/3 Jake's heads, I don't know what will. And I know I've said this as far as other precepts as well in the past videos. But it is what it is. Okay? Stop it, Jakes. The Lord is shutting this down. Finally, in these last days and end times. You heard? So that's going to conclude this very wonderful and spiritual lesson for today. Abaratazah, Lord willing, hopefully edification was brought forth today. And as always, all praises, honor, and the glory shall go to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Ba'asham, Rakak Kodash, Brakatham, Kwam, Yasharella, Rise Israel. And as always, Abaratazah, Lord willing, on to the next video. Shalom.